And the point that I want to make to you here is that you need to serve with excellence while you are waiting. Serve with excellence. Memorize it, man. You get the thing down, so you serve with excellence. Serve the Lord with gladness. You ought to be glad to serve God. Not because it's laborious, not because it's a chore to you, not because it's a burden of obligation to you. You ought to serve the Lord with gladness. You ought to be glad to serve God. People ought to be able to look at your life and say, my God, the enthusiasm, say enthusiasm. Entheo, and give you a little etymology here. Entheo, it means God on the inside, working on the outside. It's you're letting God out. Whenever you see enthusiastic people, they have a certain amount of gusto and zeal. No man wants to be with a woman who just lacks energy and droopy all the time. You need to be around somebody that is chipper, that is inspiring, somebody that has life in them. I don't want to be around old dead something that I have to drag around. How you doing? Well, I'm doing really good. They better have some life. Have some life in you. Good morning. How are you, baby? Spruce yourself up. Pick your attitude up. Get your mindset up. Get your hopes up. Look up. Speak up. Talk up. You know, you got to have some dreams and ambitions where there's expectation of favorable change in my life. I'm expecting good things to happen to me today. Stop mealy-mouthing and complaining about the last person that let you down, that betrayed you, that broke your trust, that cheated on you. They don't want to deal with all of your excess luggage and baggage. Come on, you got too much drama going on in your life. Leave all of that mess there. I want to cut myself loose and get with somebody who's got an upward mobility in their life. I got to get with somebody who's expecting good things to happen, who's got a positive attitude, that's got God on the inside working on the outside, saying, let God out of me. You need a life of God on the inside of you. So serve God with gladness, with gladness. Let his power and zeal come out of you, and you reach out to people. So you got to be trained to be able to serve with excellence. Excellence is never an accident. Never an accident. You ever see anything done well? It is never, ever an accident. Never, ever is it an accident. And I see people that want to represent Jesus Christ, and they don't know how to approach unsaved people. I had a couple that was being counseled. They came to me for counseling. This man was one of the coldest individuals that I'd ever met in my life. He sat down in the chair with his wife. He folded his arm. He said, well, whatever you got to say, you'd go on and say it, because he said, ain't nothing you're going to say going to change me. He just folded his arms, just, you know, and he had already made up his mind before he ever heard a word that I said. And here's where a lot of folks make a mistake. They try to take dry clay and mold it. Whenever you try to mold dry clay, you end up breaking it. You break contact, you break fellowship, they break conversation, you break communication, they don't want to talk to you anymore. So instead of my trying to mold the dry clay, I wet his clay. And I caught him off guard. God gave me wisdom. And what I did, I just started assaulting the man with humor. I told him one joke after another. He thought that I was going to be all super spiritual with him. I had that man, he was holding his stomach, belly laughing over like this. And his clay was being wet. You cannot mold clay until you wet it. Some people are so anxious, they can't wait to wet it. They want to try to mold it. You're going to straighten up. You ain't going to do me like this. And they end up breaking the clay instead of learning how to soften it so you can massage it and conform it to the shape that you really want it. So I was just putting water on it. Once I did that, I got the water on the clay. And then my next step, which was the hardest thing I had to do, I had to put homegirl out the room. Because, you know, when you're trying to talk to them, and every time I make a point, you know, homegirl want to, I hope you heard that.